Sardinia is a beautiful Mediterranean island between Italy and Africa. We recently visited and didn't have the best experience, but not because Sardinia isn't incredible. We just weren't prepared. We can't wait to go back and explore all of the amazing places Sardinia has to offer, but for now, we're going to share in this video everything that we learned so that you'll be prepared for a trip to the amazing Sardinia. Sardinia is part of Italy. They do have their own long history and unique culture that makes them who they are. They do speak Italian in Sardinia, although many tourist areas speak English. They also use the euro. You'll want to take out some cash and have euros available for small purchases, but we did find that most places accepted credit card. When we're taking cash out, we prefer to take it out from an ATM in the country that we're visiting, and we'll take out a large sum so that it'll last us over multiple trips. We find that we get the absolute best exchange rate this way through a bank, and our debit card usually just charges us a small fee of about $5, and so that's why we try to take out a large sum so we only have to do it maybe once a year. If you're not from the European Union, your phone plan likely won't have very good data or affordable data plans. Our plan through T-Mobile allows us to buy an international pass for $5 per day per line, which can add up very quickly. That's why we recommend using an eSIM. Some people will tell you to get a physical SIM card. We prefer the eSIM for a variety of reasons. It's really easy to use. You can purchase before you even leave on your trip and it's ready to go. And it works on locked phones as well. So if you're still paying your phone off and you're not able to change out the SIM card, it'll still work. There's many companies out there, but we prefer Ubigi. They have phone plans all across Europe and the world. For the European Union, their plans start at $12 for 3 gigs, but there's a variety of options. The data lasts for 30 days, so you can figure out which one works best for you. Ubigi has been kind enough to share a code with us for our subscribers and watchers that if you are a first-time user, you can use the code ANYONECANTRAVEL for 10% off your purchase. Sardinia is a very large island. Don't underestimate its size. If you're wanting to see the entire island, I would recommend a longer trip. On our 4-day trip, we plan to just kind of stick to 1/4 of the island, but that's where we ran into our first problem. An international driver's permit is required in Italy and thus Sardinia. I'd heard this before about Italy. We planned this trip a little last minute, and so I totally forgot. Don't make the same mistake we did if you're planning on renting a car, which I would recommend. When making the rental car reservation, it said that if our license was in a Roman character alphabet, we wouldn't need an international driver's permit. However, when we went to pick up the car, they did not want to rent us the car and told us that if we were pulled over by the police, we could get a 600 euro fine. We decided it wasn't worth the risk, and so we just stuck with public transportation. Once you're in Italy, you can't get an international driver's permit easily, at least from the US and some of the other countries that we looked at, like Mexico. Be wary of any websites online. They're a scam. They want to take your information that are saying that you can get an international driver's permit through them. In the US, you would get your international driver's permit from AAA. You can mail your information back to them, but it takes 5 to 7 weeks, and by then you're likely done with your trip and it doesn't matter anymore. So don't make the same mistake as us and be prepared with your international driver's permit. Public transportation in Sardinia is decent. It covers a lot of ground and it's pretty affordable. It did take us a little bit of time to figure out all of the different options and buses. We stayed in Olbia. There are a variety of different types of buses managed by different companies. First, we'll talk about the city buses. The city buses are just within the city of Olbia, and tickets cost anywhere from $150 to $190 if you're coming to or from the airport, and that's really the only time we use these buses. If you're staying in the outskirts of Olbia, you may use the buses more to get to the city center or to connect to the regional buses. You can get a 7-day pass for 10 euros, But if you are planning on taking really the regional buses to explore outside of Olbia, which Olbia is pretty small, it's probably what you're going to do, I wouldn't recommend getting this pass because you're not going to really use it except for to get to and from the airport. The city buses are white with green on the bottom and they say ASPO. You can pay with cash, with the ASPO app, or by buying a physical ticket in one of the tobacco shops. These buses are number lines, so you'll see the numbers along the top, and also at the bus stops there are these digital signs that will tell you how long until the next bus for each line, which is super useful. And it makes it really easy to find these bus stops. Next are the regional buses. These are the buses you're going to use to get to many popular destinations in Sardinia, like to Porto São Paulo, to take the ferry to Tavolata Island, or to take to Palau, to take the ferry to La Maddalena Archipelago. These buses are blue with red and they say ARST on the side. They do not accept cash, so you can buy your tickets via an app like Tabnet, or you can purchase them in the tobacco shops, or if you're in Olbia, you would purchase them from the bar across the street from the bus stop. If you're going to use the app, try and set it up before you leave. We had problems setting it up since the confirmation text wouldn't arrive to our phone. Because we had a US number, we think that our phone provider, T-Mobile, was blocking the messages. So you would maybe want to call them, see if they could not block it, and you can get the confirmation text and get it set up before you go. Because it is a bit of a pain having to show up before and buy your tickets in the bar before you can get on the bus. Even if the buses aren't always on time, you want to be on time, because if you miss your bus, the next bus likely isn't for an hour or more. These buses don't come super often, and so it can really ruin your plans in your day if you miss your bus. So I would recommend being there about 10 minutes early just so you can be prepared and make sure you don't miss your bus. Finally, something unique in Olbia right now is they are working on the train that runs to Golfo Aranci. So if that's a destination you wanted to visit, you will need to take the bus from Trenitalia. This is a larger bus that leaves from the train station. You would go inside and buy your ticket from the machine there. I've included a link to a Google Maps list that will show you where the train station is, where the ARST regional buses leave from, where to buy your tickets for the ARST regional bus, where that bar is, so that you're prepared and you have all that information available. I personally would recommend renting a car. Sardinia is a large area, there's a lot of amazing things to see, but if you can't, if it's not in your budget, or if you forget an international driver's permit like us, it's definitely doable to get many places on the public transportation. We were there in October, and so there was definitely less crowded. I can imagine in the summer, public transportation is very crowded. So that's another thing to keep in mind depending on what time of year you're going to be visiting. The weather in Sardinia can be very unpredictable. Rainy season is technically from September to May, but usually there isn't a lot of rain. We definitely got unlucky that rain was forecast for all 4 days that we were going to be in Sardinia. However, it really only rained for one day that we were there. We were nervous to go too far and to get stuck waiting for a bus in the rain, but it didn't actually end up raining for most of the time we were there. Having a car is helpful, since if it does start to rain, you can hide out in the car since it's likely to pass quickly. We did get unlucky one day. It just rained a ton for 24 hours. There was just a storm that passed over. So sometimes that happens with weather, but I just recommend to be prepared, especially from September to May for rain. August and July are very hot and very crowded, so you'll want to bring your patience and be prepared for that kind of weather in the summer. While we didn't get to see as much of Sardinia as we had hoped, it was beautiful. What we did see made such an impression on us, and we would love to go back. We love seeing the La Maddalena Archipelago and would want to go back and explore more. Highly recommend visiting there and so many other destinations in Sardinia. I hope that all of these things that we learned on our trip help you be better prepared for yours. Let us know any questions that you have, or if you've been to Sardinia, tips and tricks you have for our next trip.